Hi guys, and welcome to Life of Gaz, where I put a new sea fishing video on every Wednesday, and I also do a freshwater video every month as well. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and you can keep up to date with all that's happening. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my fishing roundup, and this is going to be all done on freshwater, and this is going to make up the final 51 fish that I caught. Now obviously I don't do as much freshwater fishing as I do sea fishing, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it. It's just sea fishing is more accessible to me. Now I'm going to start off today fishing for pike. Now when I've done this session, I only ever fished the one session for pike through the year, and that session I thoroughly enjoyed with 5 pike in total, and the biggest of those pike, not a monster by any stretch of the imagination, the biggest one was 5 pounds 3 ounces. Great fun to catch, and hopefully I'm going to catch some more this year. In this session where I was fishing for the pike, I was dead baiting for them. But next year, in the springtime, I want to, when the water starts warming up a little bit, I want to have a go at a lure session with them as well. So keep your eyes out for that session, because hopefully I'll have that one on at some point. So next, going from the predators to some bait fish. And this is a fish that a pike would quite happily take. It was a fish that I caught accidentally whilst I was fishing at a carp fishery called Stanley Villa. Now the fish which took the bait this time, although I was initially fishing for carp, was actually a rudd, and in fact this is the only rudd I've ever caught, partly due to the fact that I've never fished anywhere which has had rudd in there before. So obviously catching them from somewhere that doesn't have them is incredibly difficult, but these are fantastically coloured little fish, you know, like little bars of gold. And with that upturned mouth, I was actually quite surprised to pick this fish up, considering the fact that I was actually fishing down on the bottom looking for those carp. In the same session, I also managed to pick up some silverfish as well, and I managed to catch a few roach. Now, I didn't have many roach throughout the year. In fact, out of everywhere I fished, roach were actually not sort of high up sort of the list of being caught, and I only ended up with 4 of them. But nevertheless, I do sort of enjoy catching these fish, and I'm hoping at some point over the next year I might just do a small float fishing session where I literally go out and target some of those smaller fish species instead of trying to chase carp around still. Now, it's not to say I don't enjoy catching carp, but I'd love to catch a roach over a pound, because I think that fish would just look fantastic in the net. From roach, let's go over onto bream. Now, when it comes to bream, I did catch a few of them this year, and I didn't really go out intentionally targeting these fish, but by all accounts, really I didn't need to, because I caught 6. Now, like I said, I didn't really go out targeting these guys, but most of those 6, 5 of them were very small little silver bream, and then I caught one bream here which is going to come up around about £3. Now that bream itself is a fish which I planned on actually going out and catching. I just didn't plan on catching it in that video. Unfortunately, COVID set in, and I had to put my bream trip back till probably this year come in now, because I'm going to go down to Bristol docks and go and fish for them in there. Now from Stillwater, I'm going to go off to a little river now, and this is the River Wire. Now the River Wire itself, I loved fishing on it. I've only done the one session this year on there, but hopefully I'm going to do a few more next year. And I caught in this session some dace. Now dace are actually small little fish I'm sure you guys are all aware of, and to be fair, I wasn't really fishing for these guys. I was going out fishing for chub. So what we'll do is we'll just pass through the dace and we'll go and see if we can find some chub. Now obviously I've stayed on the river wire, and when I was there I managed to catch a few chub in that day. Now I didn't catch anything absolutely huge. Probably if they were getting up to 3/4 of a pound, that would have been the top end. But I did have 4 chub in total, which to go out and catch your target species first attempt is always a bonus in my eyes. Now I did lose one, and hopefully that one was only about the same sort of size, so I'm not sort of too worried about that. But it was a fantastic day, just going out sort of chasing chub in the late summer. Another fish that I only had one of was a little gudgeon. Now when it come to catching this gudgeon, I wasn't fishing for them and wasn't expecting it. But I did manage, obviously, whilst catching this gudgeon, to break the 30 fish in a year barrier. So over the course of this year, I've caught 30 different species of fish, with the gudgeon being the last of all of them. Now this one was only a small gudgeon. Even by gudgeon standards, I've seen them double this size coming out quite readily. But this gudgeon itself, they're great looking little fish, because I think they just look like a little miniature barbel. Now funny enough, in the same session and at the same venue obviously, where this gudgeon was caught, I also managed my best barbel of the year as well. So let's go and have a look at that one. Now this barbel, obviously it came from exactly the same session. Now when I went out there, I knew there were carp in here, but I didn't know there were any barbels, so this one came as a welcome surprise. Now being out there float fishing, was fishing over depth, and just laying the bait out just across the bottom ever so slightly. Seemed to work obviously for that tactic in that species. Now when I picked up this barbel, this obviously struck into it. Initially I thought it was a carp, until it started whizzing around like a little rocket down there. And as I was only fishing light tackle, I wasn't going to be bullying the fish in, so I had to just let him sort of run out of steam a little bit. Now when it comes down to it, barbel obviously being a river fish, they're built for sort of dealing with currents, and they don't seem to lose this sort of too much in their sort of fighting ability when they're in fresh water either. Not that I've ever caught a barbel from a river. That one is another one which is on the wish list for some point in the future. But having said that, I did catch 3 barbel, 2 very little ones, and then this one, which are obviously not a monster by any stretch of the imagination, but it came in at £1 11 ounces. So it was a little surprise bonus fish. I was quite happy with that one. Now finally, let's go out and get on to carp. Now I've had 17 carp this year. I've been out for them a few times, sort of 3 or 4 times I think I've been out. And I've managed to obviously catch a few of them. Now out of the 17 carp that I caught, 2 of them were double figure. So I had one at £13 very early on in the year, and the one which is in this video clip now, which was £16.10. Now funny enough, this is the heaviest fish that I'd ever caught, so not only is it my carp PB, but it's also my all fish PB as well. Now don't worry, I'm not planning on this fish staying my all fish PB, although it is actually a massively memorable fish for me. Next year in 2021, I'm hoping that I can break the £20 barrier, if not go maybe even a little bit heavier than that. Now to do this, I could do it obviously in freshwater or seawater. I'm not sort of limiting myself to carp or just limiting myself to sharks. I'm going to go and just see what I can catch and hope that something big picks the bait up. But anyway, this fish was a fantastic fish for me to catch. It was massively memorable because it's not like I was in a venue which I knew there were lots of big carp in. I knew there were lots of smaller carp in this one with the odd big one, so it was a huge surprise to catch this fish, considering that was the only bite that I'd had all day. Now that being said, unfortunately this fish is bringing us towards the end of this video. Now I do hope you guys have enjoyed my fishing roundup, and if you watched the saltwater one as well, you've seen the full thing. But part 2, obviously I've dedicated just to freshwater. Well, with all that being said, it is time to wrap this video up. Now if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, which is going to pop up. Also check out my latest fishing video in one of the cards, my freshwater playlist, and if you want to see part 1 of this fishing roundup, click the other card as well.